glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanachalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamishtam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Shakhanvitamishtam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. First of all, thank you very much, Shankarananda Prabhu, for opening your home to all of us, and of course Mataji making all the arrangements. And I'm sure Shreyan also must have helped along with his brother to make nice arrangements for all of us to get together week after week, right? So thank you very much, Prabhu. This is the first week of New Year. Right? A lot of people make newer and newer resolutions. So generally the resolutions fade away in second week of, or maybe third week of year itself, right? But let's try to think today and contemplate some resolution that we can actually sustain and which will actually be beneficial for us. Okay? So, in practice of spirituality or practice of Krishna consciousness, whatever resolution you make that actually can help you to become a better person. Day after day, you become a better person. And in every other way, health-wise, wealth-wise, social relationship-wise, you actually become better. Let's try to understand what resolutions that could be actually beneficial for all of us. This age in which we live, it is called Kali Yuga. How many of you know what is Kali Yuga? What is the meaning of Kali Yuga? Does anyone knows? Yes.
Hello.
Hmm?
Easily fights arise.
Easily fight arises. It's actually called the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. You were saying something, Mohit?
Same. Hypocrisy and
Correct. So this is the age called age of quarrel and hypocrisy. What does that mean? So Yuga is generally refers to time frame. So this is called Kali Yuga, the time frame of Kali. Okay? Kali means quarrel and hypocrisy, in simple words. So this is the time frame where at slightest provocation people start fighting. They need only tiny reason, insignificant reason. People can start fighting over just a penny, you know, just a penny, which, even if you have $100, suppose you find $100 on the road, how long do you think $100 will last for you?
1 day.
Hmm?
Like a week.
A week for him. For if you go, as household life, to do some groceries, probably in one shopping, that will not be also sufficient, right? If you are going to do some groceries from Costco or from some Indian grocery for your grains and everything, even 100 also not be enough, right? But people can fight in this age over a penny. This is how the atmosphere is surcharged. It's not the people's fault, but this whole atmosphere is surcharged with energy where it pollutes the mind of everyone to fight on insignificant things. I remember, I used to work in Minneapolis a few years ago. So there's one lady, she lives there, and she, sometimes calls me for some counseling. So she was telling that her father had left a lot of wealth in India, and there are 5 siblings total, 4 sisters and 1 brother. Okay. So after the father passed away, the brother, he told his sister, "My father has left everything for me, nothing for all of you." Okay. And the sisters, they all are, mostly settled in different parts of the world, so they don't really care, but they didn't like the attitude. One of the sisters, which is struggling in India, he didn't want to give anything to her, so other sisters said, "No, this is not fair. You should at least help her. We don't care, but you should help her." He didn't want to give. So all the sisters got together and got onto his case. So he would go, she was sharing me that he would go and give money to politicians, police people, law enforcement, bribing so many people, huge sums of money, so that he can keep whatever he had. Even if he would have given that much money to his one of sisters, other sisters would have been happy. But that is how the atmosphere is surcharged. People lose intelligence. He's paying money to lawyers whom he doesn't know, has no relationship with. He's paying money to politicians and policemen whom he has no relationship with. And still there's no guarantee that, he can actually keep all the wealth. They will probably keep plundering more and more. But that is how people become foolish. Because the whole atmosphere is surcharged with quarrel tendency. On slightest thing, people will quarrel. Without using much intelligence, they quarrel. And hypocrisy. Hypocrisy means something that I do not have, but I try to make a show. Or I have some faults, I try to hide it and try to be a nice person. So that is hypocrisy. This age is surcharged with these tendencies. So, if one wants to rise above this Kali Yuga tendencies, this time frame that is influencing all of us, if you want to rise above these tendencies of quarrel and hypocrisy, then you must do some spiritual sadhana, spiritual practices. Some yama, some niyama. Some do's, some don'ts. You must follow. So Srimad Bhagavatam gives us insight of what do's and don'ts we must follow if we want to rise above the influence of Kali Yuga. So, in Vedic conception, everything is considered a person. So, this Kali is also a person. There is a person called Kali. He resides somewhere in this world. And he keeps empowering people who want to quarrel and who want to be hypocrites. He gives them more and more empowerment. He gives them more and more resources to quarrel more and to be more and more hypocrite. Create more and more hypocrisy in the world. No. So, this Kali is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam 5,000 years ago, when Pandavas retired and they gave the kingdom to their grandson Parikshit. So Parikshit Maharaj, he was a very pious and nice king, devoted king. So one day when he was touring his kingdom, he came across a site. He came across a site where he saw a person dressed like a king. He was a dark in complexion, but he was dressed like a king, like a royal person. And he was holding a stick in the hand, probably an iron lash or iron rod, and he was beating a bull's legs. He was trying to break the legs of a bull. He has already broken the 3 legs of the bull. Only bull was standing on one leg and trembling and urinating and fearful of this person who was beating him. King Parikshit was horrified seeing this, because in those days, nowadays we have slaughterhouses in every country practically where they kill the cows and different animals. But 5,000 years ago, even killing a chicken, you would be given severe punishment, probably a death punishment. Even if you killed a chicken, forget about killing a cow or anything. We hear from Ramayana. In Ramayana, there's a, Valmiki Ramayana describes one incident where one dog, his head was, cracked somehow, a lot of blood was coming out. He went to the court of Lord Ramachandra, and he said to Lord Ramachandra that one Brahmana hit me the stick on my head, I didn't do anything, but he hit me on the head. So Lord Ramachandra called and punished that Brahmana. So, even beating or tormenting an animal 5,000 years ago, you will be punished just like, hurting a human being. That is how serious business it was. So, Parikshit Maharaj was horrified. He took out his sword and he was ready to kill this person, because beating a cow, especially in Vedic culture, male and female cows are very much worshipped. Cows are especially worshipped because cow is such a friendly animal. It gives you milk. Children, they cannot survive without, just mother's milk is not sufficient after a certain point. They need milk. And that milk is provided by the cow. So cow gives milk. And the bull, generally, they used to use a bull in the farming. So cow would feed you milk and bull would create the grains for you. Farming land. So he's like father. He's bringing food for you. So bull and cow, they were considered father and mother for the human civilization. Beside our biological mother and father, cows and bulls were considered also our father and mother. So somebody beating the bull, that was unimaginable in the kingdom of Maharaj Parikshit. So Maharaj Parikshit took out the sword and he said, "You dare to kill or beat a cow in my kingdom?" So he took out the sword and he was ready to kill him, and the person, this person who was dressed as the royal king, he actually fell at the feet of Maharaj Parikshit. Please, please forgive me. I accept that I am culprit, but please forgive me. I take shelter of you. In those days, Kshatriya kings, they would, if somebody falls at their feet, they would not kill the person. He said, okay, since you have fallen at my feet, I'll not kill you, but you cannot live in my kingdom. Because you are trying to hurt the cow, which is a serious crime. So you cannot live in my kingdom. And that time, the whole world was kingdom of Maharaj Parikshit. So he said, you cannot live in my kingdom means where do I go? Maharaj, so he said, but my dear king, it's unreasonable. I am also your praja. Although I have done crime, but I am your praja. You give me some place to stay. And he was actually Kali personified. He was actually Kali Yuga in the form of a person. So Kali Yuga's first and foremost symptom was he wanted to hurt the innocent creatures like cows for no reason. Nowadays, eating the beef, eating the cow's flesh is a very common thing. But just imagine what kind of civilization we are living in. People who actually kill the cows, they extract the last drop of milk from the cow and then kill the cow. Such a barbarian civilization. Take the milk and then kill. And then eat it. Is this a civilization? But this is the first and foremost symptom of Kali Yuga. Hurt the innocent people. That's what Kali Yuga was doing. So Maharaj Parikshit said, you cannot live in my kingdom. And he said, but I am also your praja, so you should give me some place to stay. Maharaj Parikshit said, all right, I'll give you 4 places to live. What are the 4 places? Maharaj Parikshit told him, wherever, he said, Dyutam Panam Stiyashuna Yatra Adharmas Chaturvidha. Wherever 4 kinds of adharma is happening, you can go and reside there. So what are the 4 adharmas? Dyutam. Wherever there is gambling happening, you can go and reside there. Las Vegas is the residence of Kali Yuga. Okay. So, Dyutam Panam. Panam means where people are drinking liquor. Everywhere in the world. No place left, right? So, Dyutam Panam. And Striya means where people are having illicit sex. Sex outside of marriage. Those places you can go and reside. Is any place left? And Shona. Shona means where people eat meat. So he told Kali Yuga, you can go and reside wherever people are engaging in meat eating, gambling, intoxication, and illicit sex. Sex outside of marriage. You can go and reside there and control those people. But amazingly, 5,000 years ago, there was not a single place on the earth where any of these 4 things were happening. Just 5,000 years ago, including America. There was no question of any meat eating and all. Forget about meat eating. Even less than 100 years ago, in America, nobody would eat even eggs. Do you know that? People didn't even eat eggs here. I heard from one of the local person who actually was born and brought up in America. So he was born in 1950. He lives in West Virginia, Roshana Swami. So he was telling me. He said in around 30s, 20 years before his birth, he was telling. He had heard from his parents. So 20 years before his birth, around 1930s, he said there were no eggs in America. Nobody would eat eggs. First time when they introduced eggs, they started marketing that eat eggs. Nobody wanted to buy. Yuck, who will buy eggs? Shit, that is something worthy of eating? No, nobody wanted to buy. They came up with an advertisement. What advertisement? So egg is nothing but coming from the chicken, right? So they came with a headline in the advertisement, the billboards. Offer the power of fertility to your family. Like women especially, it's like seducing the woman in a emotional way. Oh, offer the power of fertility. Like you're feeding eggs to your family when you are giving them power of fertility. And that's how they started advertising. And then women started buying eggs. Oh, this is so nice. They put some nice captions and befool people. Similarly, when 20 years back I came to US, that time people were crazy for soy milk. But the same local people told me that maybe 10 years before that means 30 years before, from back in the past from today, 30 years ago when they introduced soy milk, they introduced as a soy juice. Nobody was interested. It tasted so, yuck. Nobody wanted to drink that soy juice. It was unheard. So they came up with the milk titled soy milk, an alternative for the milk. And people started buying. It's an alternate for your milk. If you have some allergies for milk and all, then you can buy soy milk. So people started thinking, oh, this is milk only. When you take milk, people say, oh, this milk is allergic, but this milk is not allergic, so I can drink this milk. It's not really milk. So, in this way, in Kali Yuga, the things are actually deteriorated by propaganda. But 5,000 years ago, there was no question of any meat eating, gambling, intoxication, or illicit sex. So, Kali said, but there are no such places on the earth. Please give me one more place where I can at least reside. So Maharaj Parikshit said, all right, I'll give you one more place. You can go and reside where people are greedy for accumulating gold. They want to accumulate more and more gold. You can go and reside there. So, but Parikshit Maharaj was very careful that nobody should be able to accumulate a lot of gold in one place, because gold has its own utility. Not that you cannot have gold, but having this mentality that I want to accumulate more and more money. Gold was money in those days. So I want to accumulate more and more money. That is a place where Kali Yuga will reside. So hoarding mentality. I want to hold more and more. I have one home, I want to have two more homes. Maybe three. After you have three homes, maybe I want to have a big skyscraper building. When you have building, you jump from the building. But that's a reality, So, where there's a hoarding mentality, Kali will reside. Kali Yuga is given the place by Parikshit Maharaj to live there. So, these are the 5 places where Kali Yuga resides. Wherever there is meat eating, wherever there is gambling, intoxication, illicit sex, and wherever people have hoarding mentality. They want to accumulate more and more and more. There Kali will reside. So you see, people who actually accumulate a lot of money, as I was giving example, after they leave this world, generally their children fight. And I'll tell you one thing, if people have earned the money by improper means, illegal means, their children will surely fight. Not every wealthy family people fight, right? Some people, when they die, their children actually live very calmly and lovingly. They manage their wealth together, and they live as a united family. That happens when people earn the money by proper means, not by any of these professions or businesses which support these forms of Kali Yuga. Okay. So anyway, Kali Yuga was given places to reside, and since that time, Kali Yuga prevailed more and more. And of course, unfortunately, Parikshit Maharaj, after some time when he left this world, Kali Yuga actually started controlling and polluting more and more population. And today's society we see practically everybody is puppet in the hands of Kali. Especially people in high office positions, administrative position, all the politicians practically in every country, they are meat eaters, they are drunkards, most of them they are woman hunters, and they are gamblers. They gamble. I think this is not natural thing to do. And therefore, they want to make whole population like that. But anyone who is inviting Kali Yuga in their life, they will develop quarrelsome mentality and they will have hypocrisy. And you know, these two things, anyone who's quarrelsome on small, small things cannot have peace of mind. Right? And a person who's hypocrite, he's always fearful, I'll be exposed. Right? He's also not peaceful. So, if we want to avoid Kali Yuga, then we must avoid 5 things. No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no hoarding mentality. And it sounds very easy in hearing, but it's very difficult. Because all of us, we have moments in life when we get impelled to do one of those things. May not be, all, but some moments come in our life when we might be feeling impelled to, if somebody, suppose, your friend says, okay, you know what, I did trading in the stock market and today I made 250,000 US dollars. In one day, just trading, I made so much money. Then you feel naturally impelled. I also, in one day, 250,000, come on. But that's nothing but gambling. Gambling means you can lose, you can get. Either way is possible. That's gambling. The simple definition of gambling is quick buck, high risk. Whether it's business or profession or whatever you call it, a game where you can lose a lot of money quickly, or you can get a lot of money quickly also. So in such situations, your mind is always agitated. You will be always filled with anxiety. So one has to, if you want peace of mind, then you have to avoid these 5 things. But avoiding these 5 things is not enough because, as I said, there will be moments in life when we'll be attracted or impelled to do such things. For that, we need the strength of character. People who develop the strength of character, even in the most impelling situation, they'll be like, I don't want to do this. I'll tell you some real life incidents. I have a very good friend of mine in Mumbai. His name is Anand Prabhu. His actual name is Ashok Parekh. So we know him by devotional name as Anand. So he's a Gujarati person, but he is super excellent in stock investments. And we have heard about name of Harshad Mehta, right? Big Bull, we used to call him, right? Nobody has done such big scam as he did. But of course, he became actually an instrument. There were a lot of politicians behind it who got away with it. Only his name was tagged. But when he was a very good friend with this Anand Ashok Parekh, who was actually a devotee in Mumbai temple. He still lives in Mumbai. So they were both from same college and they both had very excellent brain. But Ashok Parekh was actually much more brilliant in stock market investment than Harshad Mehta. But they were good friends. So when Harshad Mehta got ties with different politicians, he did big scams and he had luxuries. So when he had actually a lot of luxury, then he was not exposed yet. One day he invited Ashok Parekh in one of the parties. And they were all big politicians in that party. And he was telling Ashok Parekh, Anand Prabhu, who was actually a Hare Krishna devotee, who is actually still a Hare Krishna devotee. So he told him, why don't you join me? You are much more brilliant than me. Together we can actually conquer the whole world. But Anandan Prabhu, he knew that what he has done is inappropriate. And even if he does not get exposed, the money earned by inappropriate means does not bring peace. So he saw the glamour, and he sometimes described, to us that he saw so much glamour, he saw so much money, so much opulence. This person had so many cars, some of the best models of the car. He was living in, exuberant homes, and he has so much wealth. He had connection with all big politicians. Very tempting, right? And especially if you have ability, more ability than somebody, and he's inviting you, please join me. You can have in moments you can have all that wealth. But he said, no, I'm happy where I am. I don't want this. His friend Harshad Mehta chastised him so badly. You are a fool. You're just wasting your life with all these false morals. He said, I'm happy wherever I am. And you know what? Today also he is very happy, satisfied and content. Not only he is happy, but he has helped thousands of people earn wealth through stock market in an appropriate, legal, proper way, without anxiety. He does not encourage people to do the daily trading. He tells them, think from retirement perspective. You can invest in a way that you can use that money from retirement. And practically everyone who invested with him, they got almost somewhere between 30 to 70% returns on all their investments, including myself. So just imagine. Now, that life is so satisfying, right? He's happy. He has wife. He has his one son, whom he's trying to retire, and he's trying to hand over all the business. He has trained his son also. His son is doing the same thing. He's helping people. You have satisfaction that you are helping people, right? So it requires the character, because tempting situations will come, So how does we develop that character? The strength of character, how do we develop? The strength of character comes by having some strong rooting in spiritual practices. We chant this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So this Anandan Prabhu, the friend of mine that I was telling, he has been chanting for 35 years. Every single day he chants Hare Krishna Mahamantra for 2 hours. Now he chants actually more, because he's towards the retirement. He has handed over almost his business. So he chants for 7 to 8 hours every day. And although in his young days he was chanting only 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and he was following these 4 principles so that not to succumb the energy of Kali. You avoid the hoarding mentality, you try to avoid eating, meat eating, gambling, intoxication, illicit sex, and you try to chant Hare Krishna. That builds your character. So even when the most provoking situation comes, you don't succumb to them. Otherwise, Kali Yuga is very, very powerful. This age of Kali is very powerful. It can wipe away any so-called pious person. No matter how pious you are, if you don't have the character of spiritual strength, then you will be easily manipulated by Kali Yuga. So the strength of character comes by chanting Hare Krishna. So in this new year, I will request all of you, if you're not already chanting, adopt the practice of chanting Hare Krishna and try to avoid, the places where Kali resides, the practices of meat eating, gambling, intoxication, illicit affairs. These are the things which makes us a tool in the hands of Kali. So this is sum and substance. And chanting Hare Krishna is actually of the utmost importance. If you're simply following the regulatory principles of no meat eating, gambling, you can still succumb to Kali Yuga's influence because you will not have the strong character without chanting. Chanting Hare Krishna actually gives us satisfaction in the heart. So, none of the tempting situations can attract you. They don't appear attractive to us. That is the power of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. How many of you are chanting every day? Yeah. So those who are not chanting, you can actually start chanting. Start from today itself. You know? Even if you chant 1 or 2 rounds, but every day you must chant. You know? So I think we'll stop here. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. No question? Yes,
I
ma'am.
just have a comment actually,
Mhm.
if that's okay with you.
Mhm.
So today you are asking us, requesting us to chant Mahamantra. And, even in previous sessions, there have been other Prabhus that have come by and told us, A, B, C, D, that we should follow that. And so I think we all are trying our best to be part of that and trying to do it. And part of it is also chanting, keeping association with everybody else, and following a good diet for the week. He was what? Reading good books and good, intake of good knowledge and things like that. So I think maybe.
That's very good. That's very good.
I think sometimes we have to reiterate it rather, because even though we're doing it, then
Forgetfulness.
Yes,
We forget.
yes,
We
yes.
forget. So we have to remind ourselves again and again.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
So we are asking questions.
Yes, yes.
So you mentioned about holding mentality, right? Holding the accumulating wealth and all.
Yeah.
So how much is okay to hold? Because in the world when we're living, we have to also think about the future and secure our family and everybody. So what is a good, if there is parameter, like what is good guideline? How much should we be holding? How much is too much to hold?
Very good question. Right? What is too much and what is acceptable? Okay. Actually speaking, any amount is not sufficient in this world because you really don't know the future. If you knew the future, that if I knew myself or my family member, none of our family members will have any medical emergency ever in life. So then probably I'll say, 100,000 will be more than enough, right? Right? But because we don't know what situation will arise when, nothing is enough. Even if you have million, if you get one, serious sickness, that can drain your, $1 million also very easily, right? But we have to understand one thing, that our protector and our maintainer is not the money, is not our bank balance. It is the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, who maintains everyone. Okay? So just all of us, we can look into our own lives. Like my father, how much he had to retire, and whether he lived a content and kind of satisfactory life, which we can say, right? So my father, I'll say, even if he got say 5 lakhs in retirement funds, that was enough for him. He never worked after that. And those 5 lakhs only he spent rest of his life. even any medical situation or emergency came, they actually managed well through that situation. Right? So, actually speaking, whether, I'll tell you something interesting. Even if a person has no security, no money at all, given situation in America, for example, if you have no money and you fall sick with some serious sickness, you still get treatment, you're still taken care of. In fact, if you don't have much money, you are safer. Nothing to lose. You can directly go to hospital, tell them, I need medical, assistance. They will give you, right? But if you have home and everything, then you're more problematic. Then you think twice whether I should go to hospital or not. Do I have health insurance or not, right? But the whole idea is, it's not the bank balance that maintains us. It's not the bank balance which is our security. It is Krishna, Supreme Lord, who is our security. And by the practice of chanting the holy name, we slowly, gradually develop that faith. Right now we don't have faith. If I told you, oh, don't worry, Krishna will take care of everything for you. What nonsense. If I lose my job, what Prabhuji is talking? He's very impractical. But I'll tell you, I had one friend here, he just moved to Australia with his family, but he lived here for almost 15 years, 20 years actually. So when I came to California in 2013, I met him for the first time. So he was a Punjabi gentleman, and he didn't have much money. He was doing some odd jobs, and then finally he ended up in, selling insurance products, So I came in contact with him, and he was sharing his life, that he was living here in Bay Area, and he was sharing apartment. Renting apartment itself is also a big deal here, right? So he was sharing apartment with somebody, another person. Two people were sharing the apartment. So he told me that when he came to US, he came directly to California, and he was living here in Bay Area. So it so happened that some astrologer told him that, sir, now you are going to have some serious health challenges, and for 5 years you will be bedridden. So this person started thinking, this astrologer is such a stupid. He doesn't know I'm living in California here. I don't have any source of, if I don't go to job one day, I don't have money, and he's saying that I'll be 5 years in the bed. Who will feed me? Who will pay my rent? Who will pay my medical expenses if 5 years I'm in the bed? I don't have anyone here in the family. This is nonsense. I don't believe it. So anyway, he was doing odd jobs. So he ended up taking a job in gas station. Okay. So one afternoon when he was at the gas station, he got a stroke, paralysis stroke. Taken to the hospital because he was working gas station. The workers' compensation triggered him, and he was in the bed for 5 years, living in Bay Area for 5 years without a job, without any work. His medical expenses, his rent, his food and other expenses, they were all taken care by workers' compensation. So we think sometimes. Now you may think, oh, he didn't have anything, therefore it's okay. But I have a lot to lose. But you know what? For a person to be maintained well, it all depends on their past karma. So if you have karma, you will be maintained very well. So we can keep some reasonable amount of money for our retirement. But I'll say reasonable, everyone can choose, what reasonable amount is. Something that you can easily accumulate without straining your intelligence or making your life miserable. Oh, I need more, because any amount is not enough. And any amount is sufficient. So, because Krishna is our ultimate maintainer. And you see from your family background, how my parent, my grandfather, my father, my uncles lived. They lived. The problem is, there's a lot of propaganda goes on, especially in this country, there's a lot of propaganda. Like, if you search, Google search, or the insurance sellers they'll come, every third person, 1 out of 3 will definitely need long-term care. In old age, you will need long-term care. 1 out of 3. 1 out of 3 means what? If I see my family, I had 4 brothers, 1 sister. My father had 4 brothers. He had 6 sisters. So I remember the entire family I lived with, We had almost like more than 100 family members. None of them, they ever needed long-term care. I saw my father, I saw my uncles, I saw my aunts. Nobody needed long-term care. It's only propaganda goes on. And even if you say in US it's different, I live in a ridge, okay? Or I have seen a lot of old people. When I used to live in West Virginia, I have seen at least around 15 to 20 families who used to live very close to us, and they were very close friends to us. They're mostly American, but they were also still good friends to us. They were all elderly people. None of them, they needed long-term care. So if I say 1 out of 3, here I see 15 families, none of them they needed long-term care. It's all propaganda to create fear. And that fear makes us insecure, and we want to accumulate more and more and more just to feed our fears. Okay. So therefore, when we actually start chanting Hare Krishna, we develop the faith. Krishna is our maintainer. He will maintain me. Worst come worst, what will happen? Even if, I land up in some serious medical emergency, what will happen at the most? We'll die. Everyone has to die in this world, right? Everyone has to die. But if you have life, nobody can live 1 breath more than they are destined to. And even if the whole world comes to kill you, if you're destined to live, nobody can kill you. What destiny is there, that will happen. And that is actually understood and remembered by people